Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good morning to everyone. Cabinet Ministers yang berbahagia Tan Sri Rastam Muhammad Isa, Chairman and Chief Executive of Institute of Strategic and International Studies, Malaysia, High Commissioners and Ambassadors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a pleasure to be here at this ISIS Malaysia PRAXIS Conference 2019. I would like to thank the Institute of Strategic and International Studies Malaysia for inviting me. In my mind, the theme Malaysia Beyond 2020 drives home a point regardless of what we had hoped to achieve by 2020. It is time to start planning beyond it. In other words, much as we may feel somewhat shortchanged because some of the targets we set out in our Vision 2020 would not be achievable by next year, having been derailed by self-serving leaders who do not have the luxury of time. We do not have the luxury of time to reflect too much on it unless it is to figure out what went wrong and how to remedy them. With that in mind, we have put forward the Shared Prosperity Vision, a 10-year blueprint from 2021 to 2030 that we believe will remedy the damage affected by Vision 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, in 1991, our nation had a dream, one which promises us a holistic and comprehensive development that will place us on par with the rest of the developed world. It was not something far-fetched. When it was presented to the nation, it was already enjoying an all-round growth that could ensure that Vision 2020 dream could become a reality. It was a national strategy, a master plan, a blueprint that went beyond economic development but places equal emphasis on turning our political, institutional, societal, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual development to be at par with those that enjoyed developed nations. As pointed out earlier, some of the targets will not be achievable by 2020, but they have not been abandoned. They have been incorporated into the Shared Prosperity Blueprint. And yes, we are unable to achieve next year. We will probably achieve by the year 2030 and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, our goals are clear. We want to be a developed country, but one that is inclusive, that leaves no one behind. All Malaysians must share the nation's enhanced prosperity and the societal well-being associated with being developed. While we aim to increase the incomes of all groups, ethnic, urban, rural, or state, we must also work to upskill Malaysians in various sectors. The bottom line is that we want to provide a decent standard of living for all Malaysians and hopefully regain our status as an Asian tiger. The objective is to make every single Malaysian feel that he or she has a stake in the country, and to achieve that, we have to ensure sustainable development and a fair distribution of economic wealth through equitable growth at all levels of incomes, ethnic groups, states, and regions. It is not merely a dream. We have incorporated the shared prosperity strategies into our recent 2020 budget. And we expect that it will be all systems go by 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the biggest challenges after successfully toppling the kleptocratic regime was mopping up the mess left behind and rebuilding the nation. It will take a lot of efforts, time and money. What we found after we took over was far worse than what we believe was the damage that has been caused. While we are correct in our fears that the previous regime had turned the nation's coffers into a personal kitty, the damage was not just financial but institutional as well. While one MDB is without doubt a monstrosity, we will never be able to fully fathom the damage it caused the nation. Beyond the corruption and the financial shenanigans, the whole machinery of government was subverted and weakened. A considerable amount of government revenue now have to go to pay debts, leaving inadequate funds for operation and development. It is a near miracle that this country was not bankrupted. For the country to recover and to grow, the machinery of government must be restored and made efficient. This means zero corruption if possible. All efforts have been made to achieve this. Maybe we have achieved some success because growth has been maintained. Externally, the challenges faced by a small nation like Malaysia are due to the bullying ways of powerful nations. Having cleared most of their forests and refusing to reduce their noxious emissions, they now try to impoverish the world by preventing them from clearing their forests for living space and earning a living. A campaign to undermine their products has been launched by the rich. And now we have to contend with the increasingly damaging and protracted trade war. We and the other nations are left wondering when will it end and what devastations will be left in its wake. A trade war within the world's largest economies is bound to fracture the world trading system. Businesses need to plan smoothly and avoid disruptions, but tariffs, counter-tariffs, and other impediments to free trade is now becoming the new norm. The US-China mega trade war may be a symptom of something far worse, growing rivalry within the world's two biggest powers developing into another Cold War. Even if geostrategic rivalry is not already behind their current trade dispute, it is likely to be the result of this prolonged trade dispute on a global scale. It is disappointing to see the proponents of free trade now indulging in restrictive trade on a grand scale. Unfortunately, we are caught in the middle. Economically, we are linked to both new markets, and physically, we are also caught in between for geographical reasons. There are even suggestions that we ourselves would be a target for sanctions. We can hope for the best and prepare for the worst by working with our ASEAN neighbors to cushion the impact of superpower collisions. We have to enhance our collaboration. This means building capacity by developing our competitiveness. We must also develop our own world-class companies that can take on all rivals. One way to achieve this is by identifying our assets and capabilities so as to enhance our capacities to take advantage of the new technologies. And that includes the quality of our human resources. Ladies and gentlemen, technological capacities are defining national development and prosperity. The fourth industrial revolution has made technology a determinant of national strength. By 2022, technology-based industries may contribute more than 20% to Malaysia's GDP. Familiar industrial paradigms of gradual development belong to yesteryear. Smart technology allows developing countries to leapfrog developed ones of a more conventional era. This requires developing our human resources so as to be agile in adapting the rapid technological advancements. We are now past the era of relying overwhelmingly on commodity exports or basic manufactured goods. Nevertheless, we must be very selective in which type of technology to invest in. We must also be realistic in expecting the returns on investment. Ladies and gentlemen, a new Malaysian society that is psychologically liberated, secure and developed must be created. A major democratic society should be the objective. A fully moral and ethical society must also be established, being mindful of past lessons. Likewise, a major and tolerant society must be nurtured while disparities are reduced. Systems, institutions, and practices must also ensure the creation of an economically just society. Our future stability will then be ensured and sustained. There has been progress in meeting some of these challenges, even if we had not been consistent. What is more important is that as we stand together on the threshold of 2020, we must learn from the past shortcomings and redouble our efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, all these policies and visions are proposed by the government. Largely, they are to be worked at by the government and its agencies. But all these will come to naught if the people do not respond and respond positively. It is they who must seize the opportunities created and apply themselves with passion to the task of achieving the vision. No plan is perfect, but if we spend our time debating the pros and cons, we can be sure that the plan will not be achieved. Our nation has grown significantly in multiple ways since 1957. And 1963, and even in 1991. Our achievements have grown, but so have our challenges. With or without an aging population problem, the key to a nation's eternal youth is to nurture a proactive and dynamic health culture of nation building among its youth. We have begun by lowering the voting age to 18. It is an acknowledgement of these young people's capabilities. It is not just the ability to vote, it is also about the ability to contribute to the task of nation building. We know all that have been said about what we need to do in the future, and all work in progress. Nevertheless, the principles, philosophy, and value system that have helped build past great civilization are of the essence if we want to realize our dreams. It is the ability to hold on to it and to accept the right values which will ensure that we will successfully move forward, making our new dream a reality. On that note, it gives me great pleasure to declare open the ISIS Malaysia PRAXIS Conference 2019. I thank you.
Thank you, YAB Tun, for the most pertinent address. We move the program to the Q&A session with Tun Dr. Mahathir. This session will be moderated by Tan Sri Rastam. Tan Sri, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. On behalf of everyone present, we'd like, may I extend our heartfelt thanks to Tun for that very inspiring speech. Now, we have time for Q&A. It is my privilege to moderate this session. Those who have any questions, please identify yourself and bring forward your question. Anybody has any questions here? Very clear, nobody is. Yes, we have over there. Gentleman over there. Can we have the microphone? Yes. Dr. Ghazali, I think.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Mahathir Tun. Thank you very much. I'm very privileged to hear that you are the only prime minister of the world that have three visions to your great of the world. One vision 2020, one vision ID 1440, and today vision 2030. My question to you, sir, in any great nation, there is a grand strategy. Today, after 62 years of our independence and the rise of Asia or India, China, how do we see Asia giving the new life to the whole world? The combination of Islam, China and India as all empires that are reviving humanity vis-a-vis the last few hundred years of Western colonialism or conception what the new world order should be again. Thank you.
Thank you. Firstly, I would like to say this, that strategies are important if you want to target and achieve anything. We find today that many countries go to war without any strategy. They simply want to vent their anger and frustration, and in the end, after 70 years of violence, they have achieved nothing. So, for Malaysia, strategy is very important. That is why we have so many visions. Unfortunately, some of the visions may overlap. But that is all right, as long as it carries us through to achieve the target that we have determined for ourselves. Our strategy depends largely on the stability and peace in the country. And to do that, we have to ensure that people are satisfied or more or less satisfied with what is happening in the country, with the governance of this country. I have always maintained that the best way to satisfy a multiracial nation is to ensure that no one is happy. When you want to try to make any particular group happy, there's bound to be others who are not happy. So the best strategy is to ensure that no one feels happy. That means that you take something from everyone and you give back something to everyone. That is our way of doing things. So towards that end, I think you have to admit that we have achieved quite a lot from a very poor country dependent on tin and rubber. We have now become industrialized, And now our aim is to upgrade the industries of our country based on new knowledge and new technologies. So we set out to do that by providing the right kind of education, training, and upskilling our people, and also to ensure that they understand what is it that we want to do, and they accept that they too, the people, have to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you. Next one, please. Yes. Gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you too for your inspiring speech. I'm P.T. Bin, Executive Director of the Institute. I think my question is on state capacity. I remember back in 1981 when you first became Prime Minister, one of the first things you did was to try to inspire the civil service and to reform the civil service. Today, what is your take on that now when you're back as Prime Minister? Have things become better or worse? And are there new ways of trying to inspire and reform the civil service?
During the period when we have a kleptocratic government, not only was money stolen, but the whole civil service was undermined. They were made to think that corruption is all right. The top man is corrupt, so why can't you take something for yourself? So when we took over, the first thing we did was to get rid of corrupt officers, to clean up the whole machinery of government. With this we have done. But then when we have a new personnel in the machinery, there is a need to train and to give them the right experience and guidance. This also we are doing now, to the extent that despite civil service that is inexperienced to a certain extent, we have still maintained our growth. Our growth is not bad for a country at our stage of development. To grow at 4.6% is good. But of course, we need to grow faster. And for that, we need the civil service to contribute in the way of becoming more efficient and also more dedicated. In all things, passion is necessary. And we think the present civil service have the passion to deliver on their promises as they join the government. Thank you.
Thank you. Over here.
You talk about the need to work with ASEAN. In the light of kind of proxy conflicts that we are seeing today, where countries are being forced to take sides, I think unity within ASEAN is important, but ASEAN doesn't seem to be able to still get its act together. What do you think, what can Malaysia do to actually bring about some semblance of cohesion among ASEAN, particularly in this age of proxy conflicts where countries are being forced to take sides?
Well, in the first place, I would like to point out that ASEAN is one of the very few regional organizations that is still functioning today. Most of the other regional organizations, even the European Union is not functioning very well. NAFTA is not functioning very well. But ASEAN has stayed together, and by and large we have the same approach to solving our problems. We have problems, of course, because this is a strategic area of the world where all the trade and all the businesses pass through ASEAN between East and West. We have to maintain peace and stability. To that extent, you have to acknowledge that at this moment, in the Straits of Malacca and the South China Sea, passage of ships are still free without any obstruction. But once people start sending warships into this area, there will be tension. So our appeal to the big powers is to keep out all these weapons of war in this area, because there might be accidents, and as you know, accidents may lead to wars. We know that when the Archduke Ferdinand was killed in Sarajevo, 7 million people lost their life after that. So we don't want to have any accident at all, and our appeal seems to be heard by the big powers. So far, they have not deliberately created any crisis, and to that extent, ASEAN has succeeded together, not one at a time, but all together we have appealed for peace and stability in the ASEAN region. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Akhtar from the National Defense University. So when I run the risk of having a simplistic view of the two visions. When you announced Vision 2020 in 1991, we thought it was very clever because if social scientists suggest that one generation is 30 years, then we will achieve Vision 2020 in the next generation. Therefore, the journey towards 2020 was more important than the target itself to grow the generation forward. Today, this is a 10-year plan. It seems to us that this is more of a hurry up and get it done project. What more can you say that you have already said to actually convince the public of Malaysia and the region and the world that this is actually achievable within the next 10 years? Thank you, sir.
We have a 10-year plan this time because it is a continuation of a 30-year plan. So the beginning was in 1991. Much of the work to be done to achieve the target has already been done despite failures along the way. What is needed now is really to correct the failures, to find the weak points and overcome them. And this we have done because we know why we couldn't achieve 2020 at the time that we targeted. From now on, it's about correcting the mistakes of 2020 vision and taking advantage of the achievements of 2020 vision and strengthening the modus operandi of achieving a target that was set actually in 1991. So it's not a 10-year plan, it is a 40-year plan. Thank you.
Next, please. Yes. The young lady over there. Please identify yourself.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. I'm Tanya Nordina. I'm from Indonesia and I represent Heritage Amanah. My mother is Malaysian and I would like to ask you what is your guideline in order for Malaysia and Indonesia to be able to build a strong relationship beyond 2020? Thank you.
Well, Malaysia's policy has always been to be friendly to everyone. We do not care what system they have, what ideologies they follow. We want to trade with them, and to trade with them, we have to be friendly with them. Malaysia is a trading nation. Its growth has been based on trade. So we need markets. We cannot afford to make enemies. So that is the future for us. Of course, there are people who will create difficulties, but we have to tolerate that. That is why Malaysia is able to trade with almost 200 different countries and have benefited from the trade. And in the future, that will be our strategy in growing our country. Thank you.
Yes. Someone over there? Yes.
Good morning, Mahathir Bin. Earlier on, you spoke. My name is Lydia. I'm from Sarawak. Earlier on, you spoke about nurturing a proactive and caring culture among youth. Can you share with us the strategies and plans for the future in bringing our youth on board? Thank you.
Well, the first thing that we did, of course, is to lower the voting age to 18, which means that we now include young people in our plans for the future. For this, we have to have a very dynamic policy towards youth. We need to provide them not just with entertainment, but also with increased skill. We need skillful people now, skills in IT and the new technologies. For this, they have to be retrained, and of course, this means that we have to have certain training facilities. We talk a lot today about TVET. It is very important because we want to have people hands-on when they are training, and it has been shown that those who undergo training under TVET have always found easy jobs for them to take up. So we hope that the young people will be taught to be a little more mature than before. And towards this end, young people must know their background, their history, because we find that many young people only think about the present, but not the past. The past can be a guidance for the future. So they need to know history, how this country came into being, how this country was grown and developed, so that they can know what place they can contribute in order to move forward further and become a developed country. Thank you.
Yes.
Good morning, Prime Minister. I'm a Chinese student studying in Malaysia. Recently, a comic book regarding the Belt and Road Initiative is making a lot of praise. So my question is, what's your take on China's Belt and Road Initiative? Is this a backtrack like the Western media claims, or is this a developed platform like the Chinese government claims? And also, what role do you think this Belt and Road Initiative may play in the future of Malaysia, like beyond 2020 and also Vision 2030? Thank you.
Malaysia has always regarded China as a friend, except for some periods in the early days of our independence when China was practicing communism, which could be exported to Malaysia. We don't want that. But now China has adopted a new policy, and this policy has benefited China very much, because now China is one of the richest countries in the world, and rich countries make good markets. For Malaysia, there are opportunities for trading, and we want to continue with our relations, good relations with China. But we support the idea of one belt, one road. But we have to find out exactly what this means. We cannot just, without proper studies, give 100% support to the idea. But in Malaysia, there are people of many different races, and the feeling about their racial feelings are still dominant. We don't want our people to think that we have now become, after becoming influenced by the West, we have now changed and have become influenced by China. I believe that China will wield a great influence over the whole world in the future. But for the moment, it is not for us to promote Chinese ideas and the Chinese ideologies, but to find out how we can benefit from that. So that book, I think, is not good to influence the minds of our young people. The young people must understand the problems and the strategies and the policies of our own country first, so that when they come up against other people's strategies, they know their place. So we, as much as we didn't like the Western influence in our strategies and our schools, we do not want any other country to have undue influence over our young people. Thank you.
Yes.
Good morning, Tun. My name is Lavanya from WWF Malaysia. Thank you very much for your address. My question is this. Back in 1992, you made a very far-sighted and bold commitment to keep at least 50% of Malaysia under natural forest cover. And by God's grace, today we see the benefits of that. We still maintain that level of forest cover. However, biodiversity, the fauna in our forests and globally is in decline. Gone down by 60% from 1970s. And it's a critical time. There have been estimates that natural capital, the services that biodiversity and forests provide amount to about 125 trillion to GDP growth annually. So, sir, will Malaysia again play a leading role, champion role in protecting biodiversity, because this is so critical for shared prosperity, not only in Malaysia but globally as well? Thank you, sir.
Yes, we are very keen to maintain biodiversity. And the fact remains that all over the world, many creatures have disappeared, despite the efforts. It's not an easy thing to do. For example, we have poachers who come into Malaysia to steal our tigers and to steal also our elephant tusks, killing the rare elephants, miniature elephants that we have. It is not easy to police a forest area that makes up 53% of our land size. So while we do try, but there are other things that also have to be given due consideration. People need to have living space. We need to earn something from our land. And in the process, of course, some of the flora and fauna might be endangered. But we are trying to keep them alive. In fact, in Malaysia today, we are even trying to safeguard animals that are not indigenous to Malaysia. That's how much we care about the flora and fauna in Malaysia. But the fact is that over the long period of our civilization, many of the animals have disappeared. Wolves used to roam Europe before. Today there are no more wolves. But that is something that the very able people are not even able to sustain. But we have sustained a lot of our flora and fauna. Thank you.
Thank you. Second, please.
Mr. Prime Minister, my name is Jason Leong. As you know, that one of the important aspect of Vision 2020 is the creation of a Bangsa Malaysia, a truly united Malaysia. And for the past few years, I have been pushing and recommending for tax deductions to be given for the promotion of work promoting national unity and inter-religious harmony. But unfortunately, even for the new government, the past two budgets did not provide for any deductions for any work promoting national unity, except for promoting culture, national heritage, and for the arts. There was this year's budget, so perhaps, Prime Minister, you could seriously consider allowing tax deductions for anybody or any NGO or companies doing work to promote national unity and inter-religious harmony? Thank you.
Well, we have to accept the fact that we are a multiracial country. We are not like some other multiracial countries. In America, for example, they have people of very many different races, but they are not considered as multiracial because they have one language, they have one culture, and they stand only for their own, for their adopted country. But in Malaysia, we wish to retain our connection with our past countries. And we not only want to retain, we want to see very tangible proof that we are from somewhere else. And because of that, we allow in Malaysia the setting up of schools that are not national and the use of languages, etc. at home and in officially we allow, because we are quite generous in a way. We listen to the people. If the people want to have unity, the people must show it, and not because the government pays money to show it. It is always the same in Malaysia. Whatever you want to do, the government must do something for them. But if you really feel that this country should have only one nationality, then you work at it because you are passionate about it, but not because the government gives you some tax-free incentives, etc. Too many tax-free incentives in Malaysia. Everybody is talking about subsidies. Without subsidies, this country would not work. I think it is about time we forget about subsidies and we think about the objectives as being honorable and good, and we work towards it. Thank you.
Well, we have time for 2 more questions. Yes, please.
Yang Tun, I am Asman Ujang from Bernama. Over the years, we have come up with vision, mission, and blueprints. But what seems to be the weakest link has been the implementation process and the monitoring and the of the process, maintenance and monitoring of the process. So much so that we now have to push back Vision 2020 10 years and come the new Vision 2030 shared prosperity. What's your comment on this? The implementation process of the various visions?
Well, we can blame implementation, and I will agree with you that in many cases it was weakness of implementation that has caused us not to achieve our targets. But beyond that, it is the reception of the people targeted. For example, today we want the people in the rural areas to become not too poor vis-a-vis the urban areas. The rural people are the target. They have also to respond. If we give them opportunities, they must make use of the opportunities. What happened in Vision 2020 is that when we gave them opportunities, they sold the opportunities. They got rid of the opportunities. They want quick money. This caused the vision to be, unachievable. But this time around, we are going to make sure that those who are going to be the beneficiaries are actually capable of benefiting with whatever it is that we give to them. If we give them jobs, they must be prepared to train themselves and acquire the necessary skills. If we give them contracts, they shouldn't sell the contract or give it to somebody else for a quick money. All these wrong things would be eliminated, and I think that in itself will contribute much towards achievement although we may still be a little bit weak in terms of implementation. Thank you.
Right. We come to the last question. I see a hand over there.
Thank you for your previous speech. My take on technology, since you mentioned it in your speech, I'm still actually quite skeptical about rapid embrace of technology without factoring out the consequences. For example, in terms of difference of culture, the way we Malaysians, for example, use social media is very different from the Germans, since I believe like technology is not neutral. And secondly, also my take on technology, you said previously that 20% of the GDP, I'm not sure whether it's whether on economic output or the percentage of people working in the technological field, but I'm also very much skeptical, rather than upskilling and increasing standard of living of Malaysians as a whole, I believe might be also in the danger of creating a new bracket group of elites who pretty much monopolize leveraging on technology, which is mainly due to the still inherent large gap of the region for you.
I always like to talk about a knife. You can use a knife to cut up beautiful things, but you can also use the knife to murder people, stab people. It's the same with everything else that we do. There are good users and bad users. There are good results and bad results. Now, modern technology can be abused. Already we have accusation made that Russia influenced the election of Donald Trump. That is bad use of technology. The ability to influence through these new technologies is there, but it depends upon you. If you want to use it for bad jobs, then it will be bad. Nowadays we talk about fake news. All the time we are receiving fake news. Not because the technology is wrong, but the people like to abuse the new power that they have. Just imagine, before you want to put up something of your own ideas, you have to go through a newspaper, and the editor will cancel or will not print, or will edit what you say. Today, you can speak directly to the whole world, and that gives you great power. And that great power can be used for the good of good ideologies. As a Muslim, perhaps you can tell what is true Islam. What you are seeing now is not true Islam. We have to correct that. That is good use of the information technology. But you can also undermine people by persuading them to go and kill other Muslims. This is what is happening today. So all powers can be abused or can be made good use of. So it is up to us, not up to technology, it is up to us to make good use of the new powers that everyone wields today through technology. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of this session. We've heard a very inspiring speech from Mahathir Bin Mohamad, and also his views and comments given in reply to those questions from the floor. May I ask you to once again join me in thanking God for his